Who's ready for chicken dinner and pumpkin pie? Thank you for watching Chaos Entertainment, gluten-free and great tasting. Here are your hosts, Greg and Corrine Helton. Starting with the pie, you're going to need yourself some sugar pumpkins or pie pumpkins. They look like the little cannonballs. You're also going to want to set your oven to 400 degrees and preheat it. Quarter your pumpkins and then start goring out all the guts and seeds. Make sure all that's nice and removed. Bake for 1 hour, but check after 45 minutes because smaller pumpkins do cook faster than the larger ones. Remove your pie pumpkins from the oven and make sure that they are fork tender. Once they're ready to go and they're ready to be chilled until cool. Once the pumpkins are cold enough for you to touch, you can start manipulating it, scoop out the guts, and then squish it all down and get ready for the food processor or a blender. You will need 1/8 teaspoon nutmeg, 1½ teaspoon cinnamon, 1/4 teaspoon ground cloves, 1/2 teaspoon of ground ginger, a 1/2 cup of sugar. You can also use palm sugar just as well. 1/2 teaspoon salt. You will also need 2 eggs. You will also need 1½ cups of cream, but for a great organic substitute, we do 1 cup coconut milk and 1/2 cup soy milk, and it's really, really good. Then you take your eggs, your cream, your spices, and blend them all together really, really well. You're going to need 2½ cups of gluten-free flour. We prefer Bob's Red Mill. So going to need 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 16 tablespoons of shortening lard, 1/3 cup of very cold water. You could take the little masher and crush all the stuff up, or you could simply take 2 butter knives and use them like cutting motions and just slice them back and forth, and you'll blend them up into pea-sized little pieces. And that will be perfect. Add your cold water, and then you'll just start stirring it up. Don't over stir it and stuff. Just get it to where it's all kind of moist up together and it's binding together, and that will be perfect. Then you wrap it tightly, and then you just put it in the refrigerator and chill up to 15 minutes so you can at least get the fat to bind up with the flour. I like to use cellophane to keep my kitchen clean and not waste a lot of flour and stuff like that trying to roll out my pie doughs. This way it's fast, it's easy. You roll it out quick, measure it out. Make sure you use the proper size cellophane or food wrap so you can have the proper size dough crust for your pie pan. Now, one thing I learned when I was a young man growing up and doing home ec a lot, which was if your pie crust does fall a little short, you just roll up little tiny nodules and then start adding a rim around there, decorate it. Then you want to perforate the pie crust with a fork so you can have little tiny air pockets forming in your crust so it doesn't make gigantic air bubbles in your crust. So you're only going to bake the pie crust for about 3 to 5 minutes just to start to cook it some. You want to pull it out, let it cool for just a minute or so, and then pour your pie filling into your crust directly back into the oven for 15 minutes. Remove from the oven and put on a cooling rack and let it cool for at least 1 hour. I know it is very tempting because you know it is worth it. And now the chicken. For the chicken rub, you're going to need some thyme, oregano, basil, paprika, onion powder, celery seed, black pepper, cayenne pepper, garlic, a little bit of gumbo filet, a little bit of salt. All right, step one for the raw chicken, about 5 to 6 pounds. You want to remove all the guts, the heart, the gizzards. You want to reach into the front as well and remove out the little neck bone if you can. You want to basically find your sternum and your breasts and take your really sharp butcher knife or a cleaver and go ahead and just chop right down the middle. Now the reason why I'm doing this is because I'm going to literally cut the cooking time in half, figuratively and literally. Bun-da-da. And this way you can actually season the inside of the chicken as well. Now, once you have your chicken halved, I found if you take a little bit of cooking oil and rub it on the skin, it'll actually crisp it up really good in the oven. Now, you're going to sprinkle on your spices on the skin side. Make sure you get under the wings and under the legs. Rub it really well. Get all the spices on there nice and good. Don't over spice unless you like a lot of spice. Now, reverse them. And then do the exact same thing with the other side and make sure you get them into the rib cage and stuff like that, because all those spices are going to make that chicken taste awesome. Loosely wrap the chicken so there's like a little tent and seal the sides well into the oven for about 45 minutes to an hour. And now for the mashed potatoes. So for the mashed potatoes, you're going to want 6 to 7 potatoes. You want 3 to 5 tablespoons of some kind of butter, 3 to 5 tablespoons of some kind of cream or milk. Once your potatoes are peeled, you want to quarter them by slicing them vertically and then horizontally once. Put them in a pot and then fill with cold water. Set to boil for 15 to 30 minutes. Start checking after 15. Hey! After 15 minutes, start checking to make sure that they are fork tender. We usually use 1/3 to a 1/2 stick of butter. This is a dairy-free butter. We're also going to use some soy milk instead of real butter or cream. Real cream is way better. We're going to take your potatoes and we're going to throw them down on top of that. That way it starts heating that butter up. And add in your salt. Mix really well until all the lumps are broken, until it's a fluffy consistency. Oh my God, look at that. Oh, so yum. Wait, don't forget your chicken. I hope you've been keeping an eye on that timer because it should be right about ready to pull out of the oven. Look at that. It smells so amazing. Be very careful of removing the tin foil from the pan because it will. Dang it. Kind of. I should have put some oil on them. Oh my God, this smells so good. Okay, we're going to put this back into the oven for about 10 to 15 minutes, but keep an eye on it to make sure that you pull it out when the skin is nice and gold and crispy. To help it out, you can also set it to broil for just a few minutes. And this is what it should look like when it comes out of your oven. Nice, yummy, crispy, and my wife stole a piece of the skin. For your gravy, you're going to need a few items. One, the pan drippings, and keep all of them. See how she's scraping all those little yummy. You want to pour into a medium-sized saucepan. Now, in making gravies, there's about 3 different ways. After you pour into your pot, you can actually add the flour directly into that while the stock is boiling, and you want to create a roux. Or you can use cornstarch and water. We're using 2 tablespoons of flour, 1/3 cup warm water to make a slurry. Get your pan drippings up to a nice boil. I do about a medium high. We'll slowly stir that in to make sure it doesn't coagulate and lump up. And as you do, you blend it really well with a whisk. Get all those pieces nice and done. Now also salt and pepper to taste. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this show and learned a lot about making a good chicken dinner and stuff like that. Please invite me to your dinner for the chicken dinner. Check out my links below for all the recipes and stuff like that. Check out my other videos. Hit subscribe, tell your friends about me, and I'll see you again.